Hi everyone, my name's Michelle and I'm Mama Loves UGB here on FlossTube, but also over on Instagram and Etsy as well. Welcome to the Sunday morning briefing. I've got so much to share with you today. I've actually had to put a list down below the camera so that I can keep myself somewhat on track today. I've had to put the hair up this afternoon or this evening because we went dolphin watching today. It was rather blustery. I came back in looking like the scene, if you've ever seen Bridget Jones's Diary, when she gets out of the convertible car. It was just kind of like held together with salt and sea spray, but it was fabulous. And we saw a youngish calf. It was away from its mother, so it wasn't very young, but it was probably still a this season calf. And so it was lovely to see it, but it was a little bit blustery and a little bit rainy, hence why I'm able to wear one of my jumpers and not be sweating. Thank you to those people who were concerned for my well-being last time, and the comments were just like, why are you wearing a sweatshirt? Why are you wearing a sweatshirt? So thankfully for us, the heat broke on, I think Tuesday was our hottest day, and then after that we were back pretty quickly to rain, and it's been pretty much raining today. So I'm just going to lift my glasses up because I think I'm going to get annoyed because I can see the reflection on the glasses. So yeah, it's been the first week of the summer holidays. It's been super nice, super chilled. Ness has had friends over, she's been paddleboarding. I've kind of reclaimed the dining room table. I've got all my stuff that I need to finish because I was building up this rather big box of stuff that needed to be finished, so I've been slowly working my way through those. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably have seen some of them already. I usually forget about Instagram. I usually forget to put things on Instagram, so I've done it the other way around this time. I put stuff on Instagram and then I'll show you what's coming up. So hello, I should have done this before. Hello to all my subscribers, the new ones, and to the ones who've been with me for a while. I just want to say a few thank yous. Thank you very much to all those people who've bought me a coffee over the last few weeks. I hope you've grabbed your marching orders freebie. Part of my plans this week is to actually stitch that for myself. I've seen a few people stitch it and it looks fab. So remember, if you go on to buy me a coffee and you want to get that that freebie, all you have to do is copy the web address into your browser for it. I couldn't make it a link, it wouldn't let me. So thank you to those people. Thank you to everybody who's gone and grabbed themselves a shirt of some kind. So I've got my, as I said, I've got my Stitcher one on today. Last week I had the classy Stitcher one on. So yeah, there's been so many people gone on and grabbed one of those despite the weather. And I've had a couple of people from the States message me just to say how pleased they are with the postage to the States, and actually they'd expect to pay more coming from the other side of the country. So that's fab. So yeah, I'm going to keep looking down, otherwise I will forget. I've got a finish to show you, I've got some whips to show you, I've got some FFOs to show you, I've got a couple of new samplers to introduce you to. Again, one of them you might have seen on Instagram. A couple more thank yous. It is my birthday in the middle of the week, on Thursday the 28th, so I just want to say thank you. There's a couple of people who have sent me an Etsy voucher, totally not necessary. They wanted to remain anonymous, but you know who you are. Thank you very much for that. And I will be having in my Etsy shop a sale to celebrate my birthday. So my birthday's on the 28th, so to make sure I cover all the time zones, I'm going to make the sale run from the 27th to the 29th in the UK. So hopefully that will cover you wherever you are in the world for the 28th. So if there's something you've been wanting to grab, then yeah, you might want to wait till then. Right, let me show you what I've done. I've had one finish this week, and the finish is my Santa. So I managed to finish him off complete with the back stitching, and he just looks so amazing. I'm so chuffed with him. And actually, when I was doing the back stitching, I have found there's 3 tiny little single stitches missing, but I'll go back and put those in. So the back stitch made a big difference, as we knew it would, as I knew it would, especially to the face. But you can now see down at the bottom, this now says blue on it, the cars in a little bit more detail, and obviously I always think the biggest difference is in his face. Now, if you haven't seen these before, if this is the first time joining me, or you haven't been with me for a few weeks, couple of weeks, then let me just show you. They are a set of 4 Santas from the 2011 November-December edition of Just Cross Stitch, not the Christmas special, but the normal monthly, what was the normal monthly magazine. You can get it on CD-ROM, and that's the one that I've done there, and I will be doing all 4 of them because, and it is just sat here, whoops, I bought one of these. I did actually buy a second one of these in white, but the quality wasn't as nice as this one, so I sent the white one back and I kept this one, and I probably am gonna paint it white or make it a bit whiter. And then the idea obviously is that, oh, I don't know actually, now he's finished, they might work, we'll see. How to hold up something so terribly and make it look awful. There we go. That's what he will look like with his 3 friends come Christmas. Just put that back there. So that's one thing that I finished this week. In fact, put that there. Now, my other whips, works in progress, things that I've worked on. Itchy nose. I have worked a little bit on the Teresa Kogut Strawberry Manor stitch along, which is exclusive to her Patreon, and she released the second part this month, and it wasn't right at the start of the month, which was nice because it meant I'd cleared the decks a little bit by then and I felt I could get to it. So that is where I am. The whole of this part here has been released, so I've got to put the path in. I had the path in, but it was the wrong colour, so I took it out again. I was going to leave it, but I had a fit of pique and took it back out again. And then there's this whole big sort of strawberry plant here, and then I've got to finish off the border. Now, she has given the border all the way round, and I probably would like to do that because I do like to make sure that the borders meet up before I go too far with a stitch. So this is a piece of 32 count that I dyed myself. I've had people ask me before when I've showed a particular piece about what colours I've used, what's my recipe for dyeing. I just don't have them, I'm afraid. I just go by, I add a bit in here, there, until I get what I want. So I don't really have much of a recipe for them. So there's that. Absolutely loving that. Sorry about that. I've got a Ness whose sleep patterns are already all over the place. Come the holidays. So there we go. So there we go. Loving that. Loving that. Oh, I was going to show you the colours. The colours for this. So they are on some floss tags, and they are beautiful kind of autumny, summery colours. So there they are. What else have I been working on? Sorry for the crinkling. I did a little bit on this, which is All Joys for Thine. It just happened to be sat in the bag next to my chair, and so I grabbed it out. Now I haven't ironed this, and it is just as creased as it was, and there's a needle hanging in part of a stitch. So that's where I am on this one. It's a 36 count, I would say. It's Picture This Plus. It could be Wren, I'm not sure, without looking it up. it could be Wren. And so it's going to be a little bit of a fainter stitch. But I do like that one, it's not that big. And I think I managed to pick up a frame for it in a charity shop this week. I've done a lot of charity shopping this week, just going around particularly looking for frames. But yeah, just kind of looking, you know, mooching. I do like a good mooch in a charity shop. And actually on Cardigan High Street there's a few other nice shops, but most of them are charity shops, so it's quite nice to just go and have a mooch around, then have a coffee and then go home again. So there's that. I've done a bit on that. I don't think that would take long to finish if I actually got my backside into gear. But then that is so true of so many of the things that I have. And then the other one that I've done a bit on is Mary Bar that I showed you last week. This is by the Wishing Thorn, and I started Mary Bar last week. Now let me find, there we go, it's this one. Now somebody said there is a girl in the doorway of this, and I hadn't noticed that because I haven't looked. I didn't start in the middle, so there is a girl in the doorway. Just see if I can show you just a tiny bit of the chart. So there is a girl in the doorway. So I just liked it because it was a kind of Art Deco type house. And I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count straw. And I've got a little bit further with it than I had last week. And again, it's going to be really hard to see because it's quite tone on tone, which is one of the things, the camera really doesn't like it, one of the things that I liked about it, that I liked about the picture, that it was kind of tone on tone, lots and lots of kind of oranges and, not oranges, orangey browns, that sort of thing, yellowy browns. So quite tone on tone. So I think it's going to take a little while for that one to actually really show up well. So before I show you what I've actually finished, I had a couple of people ask me about how I get so much done, how I get so much stitching done. And there are some weeks that I don't, some weeks that I really don't get that much done. I do stitch probably every night. Once Nessa's gone to bed, I stitch every night, and I'm not a early to bed person, so I'll probably get 3 hours, 3 maybe 4 hours in of an evening, unless I've got schoolwork to do. But yeah, that's kind of my average. And then just for those of you who don't know, who've not heard me talk about it before, I stitch in hand, which is why sometimes when I get projects out they look like dishcloths because until you iron them then you can't see. So the reason I'm holding this one up is because I stitched this one in hand, as I do all of them. So how did I get this one done so quickly then? I stitch in hand. I use the sewing method, so that means that I'm constantly just working on top of my cloth. I'm not, sorry, that's not helpful to you because you can't see. I'm constantly working on top of my cloth. I'm not pushing my needle down, pulling it through, pushing it back up, pulling it back up, which some people in hand do. Some, obviously when you've got a frame, you probably do that in sort of pull through method. So I think stitching in hand using the sewing method is quicker. The other thing, if I show you, this is my working chart, and I'll show you it from far away. That's the chart that I use to stitch in. I don't mark anything on my charts. I never mark anything on my charts, which I think does save a lot of time. It does mean sometimes I go wrong and I have to unpick things, but I kind of got used to not marking my charts now. And the other thing is it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Perfection is not my goal. The thing that I really like about stitching is the variety. it's not even necessarily the finishes, it's the variety and being able to stitch on lots and lots of different things. And so by not marking my chart, by using the sewing method, by working in hand, it gives me the ability to do that. And as I said, perfection's not my goal. So yeah, that's kind of how I do it. I did do a video a little while ago, a stitch with me, how I stitch in hand. So if you're interested in watching that, you can go back and do it. I'll try and do another one, but it's really difficult to get the camera in the right place and then try and sort of stitch as you normally would through the camera. Anyway, waffle. Right, finishes. So I've done some finishes. I've actually finished the two of the freebies that I showed you last week. So the two of the freebies that I showed you last week, the first freebie that I showed you last week, or one of them, was this one, and it's by a girl with a gavel stitches, Chloe, and this was her first reproduction that she's done, and she's doing it as a freebie, and it was originally a little pin pillow, but I decided I'd stitch mine on 30 count something or other by Access Commodities. I can't remember what colour it is. Pecan, is that a colour? Could be. And I just happened to find that it fit perfectly on this spool. Now, again, this is where you'll find that I adhere to the not perfection. It's not quite perfect at the back. Shoot me. And I put a little bell on the bottom, and I've got a little, I don't know if you can see there's a little button on the top to hold the thread in the right place, or to hold the hanger in the right place, and then I just finished it off with a little bow in a similar colour ribbon. It's not the same ribbon because that's just a very thin one, but it's a similar colour. And I used the Gentle Art Ruby Slippers, I think, on that one. And all I did was I just ironed it so that it was pressed at the top, and then put it on the reel, ironed a little flap, a little fold over there, and just did a series of little stitches. So yeah, there we go. Perfect example of it not being perfect, but it's done, and you wouldn't know. If you want it perfect, you buy it from a shop, wouldn't you? But I'm very happy with that. And then the second one that I stitched was this one. Now you're going to see a theme. I'm not very good at putting the back on things. I got these two little frames, and the moral of life, I think, is if you have something that fits a frame that you've got, then it has to go in that frame. Because frames are so rarely perfect that if you have a perfect frame, then you use that perfect frame. So it says please enter your pin, which is just brilliant. And then I thought, well, I'm going to put it on the side. I've got quite a few other pin cushions, but I thought I would also make a pin cushion of my own just to go with it. Now I made it with some wool, a couple of different colours of wool. It's more of a beefsteak tomato than a little cherry tomato, but I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. It's definitely got a few little creases and poles in it, but I'm happy with it. And then I just put, that's one of Paola from Puntini's little pins, just a few little buttons, and then I've got a tutorial about how to make these pins if you want to go and find it. I did it last year sometime, but if you just look through my videos, it'll be called Special Edition something. So I made that to go alongside it. So that was cool. I had somebody message me about how to find Pantini freebie charts. So if you go on to puntinipuntini.com, it says site under construction, which it still is, but it works. It works as a site. A little frog in my throat here. So if you go to gallery, and then scroll right down. It says there's a section at the bottom there that says freebies, or I put the link in last week and I'll try and remember it and copy it over to this one. Now, one of the things I finished that I didn't show you, and again I haven't really put the back on this one yet, is this one. I haven't put this on Instagram yet. This is by, and I wrote it down because I couldn't remember, Threadwork Primitives. It's called Quaker Alphabet. And I got this frame in a charity shop for £1.50 and it fits perfectly. It was amazing. And I stitched it on some fabric with, I think it's a 36 count fabric. I'll have it written down somewhere, so I'll have a look and see. And it's with a Valdani called Blackened Teal, which if I bring it up a bit closer, you'll be able to see that it is kind of like a tealy green. One of my favourite flosses. And I remember starting this and showing it to you guys in progress, and I got right to the end and I needed just another length of black and teal, and you'd all bought it all. There was none left anywhere in the UK, and luckily, thanks to the unique way I stitch, I managed to find a piece down the side of the sofa. Just one length that I needed, and it was down the side of the sofa. So there we go. There we go. I've ordered a couple of other frames actually on eBay to fit other projects, one of which is And To All a Good Night, a Blackbird Designs And To All a Good Night. Can I just have a little rant? Do you mind? On eBay, if you're selling frames, I don't give a rat's how big the frame is on the outside. I need to know the aperture size. I need to know what I can put in it. I don't care how big it is. The number of sellers that I've had to email and say, could you please put the aperture measurements in, please? Please. So, yeah. And hopefully I'll have another one finished. While I'm on it, I'm going to have another rant as well. Tourists of West Wales, we love you. We love the fact that you come to see us, and lots of us depend on your tourism. But you don't all have to go to Tesco's. Go to your accommodation, sit down, make a list. One person, 2 maximum, 2. Not all 15 of you have to go to Tesco's. It's only Tesco's, it's no different to your Tesco's. My technician at work actually has a brilliant phrase for them. She calls tourists who are doing their shop, she calls them bacon or weekers. And it comes from, and she's perfectly correct about this, they will stand and they will have conversations about what they're going to eat. And what they're going to eat for breakfast, what they're going to eat for lunch. And they'll be standing there thinking about, you know, get sausages and bacon and stuff like that. And at some point they will turn around and go, oh, we'll just have bacon all week. So that's when they're thinking about what to have breakfast. They go, we'll just have bacon all week. So she calls them bacon all weekers. And it's perfect. I've heard the exact same conversations myself. Rant's over. Except for one other rant. If you're going to comment on my video, please can you do it really quickly, because I'm trying to beat the porn comments. I'm getting plagued, even though I keep blocking them, by these, not always in English, but they're always a link to another site, and you can tell exactly what they're about. So if you're going to comment on this video, can you comment really quickly? And hopefully we can beat the porn. More finishes. Another Teresa Kogut, FFO. And this, now, I'm going to have to hold this one in the frame and I'll show you why in a minute. This is my Cherry Jubilee. Oh, I just love her. I just love her so much. This is my Cherry Jubilee, which again was another Patreon. Stitched on a fabric, again, that I dyed myself, that no, I can't remember what colours I used, I'm really sorry. So, yeah, but with the called for DMCs. Now the reason that I'm holding this all in is because this frame came from the National Library of Wales. And it's obviously a used frame. And at the moment, holding the slips in are some really rusty pins. So I don't want to leave those there, because obviously the rust will decolour the fabric fairly shortly. It won't take very long for it to happen. So, but it's the perfect frame. I did wonder whether it might be a little bit too big, and perhaps if I was ordering a frame I wouldn't leave this much gap, but I think it looks lovely. I think it looks balanced, and I'm really super happy with it. And there were 2 others that she released in this particular month from this series that I really want to do as well. Is that it? Let me just check. Let me just insult the list. No, I've got one more. I've got one more. Here it is. So this is another little finish that I did. And this is a design by Becca from Sambrie Stitches. She was kind enough to send me the chart. Now this is Lizzy Payne Gross. And she's released 2 samplers. Actually, excuse me, I've got a little itchy eye. 2 samplers that look like this, that came together. Sort of these marking samplers. There's Lizzy Payne Gross, and then the second one, the girl's surname is Eldridge. Elizabeth Eldridge. I'll put the name of it down the bottom. The reason I'm hesitating is because I know a girl whose surname is Eldridge. I'm trying not to just say her name. So yeah, this is Lizzy Payne Gross, and I know she's found Lizzy. And what I decided to do was make it into a needle roll. And the tape on the back is straight, I promise, although it never looks it. This is actually a tape that belonged to my granny, and either it was or it is now so old that it now is. It's almost like a fabric now. It doesn't, if it ever had that wax coating on it, it doesn't have it on it now. And the reason that I've put the numbers like that is because most of the needles that you would use would either be 24, 26 or 28. So I put those sort of in the middle so I can put my needles there for 24, 26 and 28. Now, again, it's not perfect. I had envisaged that I would fold this end over and then I would use that as a little bit to roll my needle roll. But very quickly the fabric starts to pucker. So I found that what I have to do is fold it so that it's just not quite in half, and then roll it from there, and then I find that the fabric sits nicely and doesn't pucker. I've never made one before, so I'm quite happy with the way it's turned out, and just held together, rolled with a nice little bow that I'm just retying. There we go. And I just want to give Becca another shout out because she's had a bit of a rough trot with COVID. She's caught it twice in a month. I mean, poor Becca. But she's been going on, she's been doing some fantastic reproductions. So there is Lizzy Payne Gross, there's Eldridge, there's a couple of others on her Etsy. She's also got her own designs which are fabulous, but she's also released Elizabeth Horry 1830. Now the model for this is absolutely beautiful. This is the model on here. I don't know if she's included a picture of the original. Yeah, there's a picture of the original just up in the corner there. Beautiful sampler, and she's got the history that goes with it. And there we go. So this is all stitched over 2, except for the wording, which is over 1. So I think when I stitch her, I'm gonna cut out that bit, and I'm gonna move the alphabet down, and I'm gonna make just like a little square sampler out of her, because the border is really, really nice, where you've got like kind of like the strawberries on the inside, and then you've got the flowers, the white flowers it looks like, on the outside. So you know how strawberries have white flowers. I've never seen that before on a border. It's so pretty. So you can grab this on her Etsy, and I'll put the information down below. She does have a Gumroad as well, but I think she might have a couple of freebies on Gumroad, but most of her other charts are on her Etsy. Or you can get hard copies from Acorns and Threads and a couple of other places. But go and have a look on her Instagram and her YouTube channel, and she'll tell you all about it. Right, where am I now? Where am I now? Freebie. I'm going to do my freebie. Now, I have to say thank you to whoever it was that reminded me about this. I'm really sorry, but I didn't jot down your name. Now, I know I featured this freebie before, but I'm just going to show it again because when I first featured it, there weren't any parts to the freebie because this is a year-long freebie. Or there might have been one. But now there are quite a few others, and I wanted to just revisit it because they are so beautiful. And it's the Jeanette Douglas 2022 Sal. I don't know if the whole thing's got a name, but basically every month she's releasing, and I'll try and show it without the stitch which is on the bottom, releasing one of these flower vases or jars or whatever. As you see, they're all slightly different. Now there is a grid that you can stitch to do all 12 in one, or you can stitch up your favourites as little pin cushions or however you wanted to do them. I think, now again, if you play in my normal drinking game, you could put 3 or 4 in a row and make a drum. It would look lovely as a drum. That's my drinking game. It would look lovely as a drum, because I will say it always at some point. That one. Now she's released one for every month so far. I just printed out 4, I think, that were my favourites, but go and have a look. That one. I like that one because that's in sort of a vase. They're so pretty, and each one needs about 6 or 7 colours, and you get given the suggested colours, but these could be really great little stash busters because you're not going to need very much. And that's what I did actually with this one. Didn't use any of the cool fall colours, it was just a little stash buster. I just grabbed, and for some of them literally I had 2 strands left on the drop. There's that one. Did I? Yeah. So those are the 4 that I printed out. So I'll put the link for that down below, and you can go and have another look at those, because like I said, I'd shown it before, but I hadn't revisited it. I hadn't had a look and see how it was going up until this point. Right. Who wants to hear about a stitchy weekend? A stitching retreat. So Maria, is it Maria or Marie? Marie, sorry, Marie, who is Stitches and Diamonds on YouTube, messaged me, and she is organising Stitch London. Now I know already this is going to be a really great event because she's got Stephanie from Pam and Steph helping her and just making sure she's on the right track. So it's already going to be good. I can tell you it's going to be good. And her idea was to have the retreat in somewhere that's got really, really good transport links, because she lives in London, but they've only got 1 car, and so she can't really take the car and go to a retreat out in the country somewhere. It's got to be somewhere that she can get to with rail, road, bus, public transport links. And so she's picked a place. It's the Holiday Inn in Watford, which is just outside London, North London. And it is going to be on the 14th to the 16th of October. Registration is open. It will be confirmed once they reach their target number, but registration is open. And I know there's already a lot of people who've signed up for it, so I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem to get the numbers. So if you are interested, go and I'll put the information down below, but go and have a look sooner rather than later. So the ticket price, which includes Friday from 10 AM to Sunday at 12 noon, is £119, and that includes access to the Stitchy room, free on-site parking, unlimited tea or coffee, Stitchy goodies gift bag, Friday evening quiz, chance to win prizes, optional s'mores exchange, and access to the private Facebook group. Now, it doesn't include your accommodation or your meals, or other things that aren't on that list, because what she wanted to do was she wanted to make it affordable for everybody. So she said, you're more than welcome to come and stay in the Hilton in London or the Ritz or wherever you want to stay, you know, the finest hotels in London, or you can travel every day. You can stay with a mate. You can go and treat yourself to 3-course meals if you want to. You can go and grab a sandwich from Tesco's. It's entirely up to you. You can make it fit your particular budget. So if you're interested in that, go and have a look at the links down below and go and find out more information. But yeah, I'm sure you'll know Stitches and Diamonds. Great floss tube. And yeah, go and have a look. Go and have a look. Right, done that. FlossTube, very quickly, before I show you my haul and introduce you to another amazing sampler. Running with needles and scissors. So Lisa, we've been sort of in communication for a little while, on and off, about various different bits and bobs. And she has teamed up with her friend Sylvia, who does the Running with Scissors channel, and she's been on it a couple of times, and so she said, "Oh, go and have a look and have it." So I haven't got around to looking at it yet, but from what I've seen, the little clip it looks like a great channel. So I'm going to go and have a look at the sort of editions that Lisa's in, and I know that she's had a couple of other sort of special guests and things like that. So you might want to check that out with me. I'm going to check it out, Running with Needles and Scissors. And then I've just jotted down my other FlossTubers that I've been watching this week. I haven't watched as many as normal because I've been watching the darts. I love watching darts. It's amazing. Obviously Kansas City Girl in the Colorado World, who is now travelling the country. Oh, how amazing. Love to do that. Lynn the Lancashire Stitcher. I'm going to just lift it up a bit. Sambrie Stitches. Rebel Stitcher Colleen, she's got Albus, I've got an Albus, mine's a bit bigger, a bit more of a lump, but yeah, I like watching her. She's got some amazing projects. Susan Stanley, now you cannot fail to learn from Susan Stanley. She is so knowledgeable, and actually I spoke to Susan about something I'm going to show you in a minute. She's so knowledgeable about all sorts of things textile related, so if you even have more than just a passing interest in textiles, then her channel is a wealth of information. It's amazing. And Amy Loves Toads as well. I love Amy Loves Toads. It's just like taking a deep breath for me, and just, she's so relaxing, she's so calm. She gets on with these big projects just sort of calmly, and you see them every month, and she's done a lot more on them, and I just love watching it. Every time she's got a new one out, I gotta watch it straight away. Right, I'm going to show you two little samples. Well, one little one, one big one. Sorry, I'm going to start with a little one. Now this one only came today, and when I show you, you'll know exactly why I bought it. It's a Redneck Green one, which again, Susan Stanley does a really good episode all about Redneck Green samplers. Ooh, I've got some other floss already stuck to it. That's one thing about these jumpers. I did think about, should I maybe sell them with just some floss already stuck to them, because invariably they will have very soon. So this is the little sampler that I bought, and it's just a little girl's marking sampler from 1884, age 12, August 1884, F.E. Pasley. Now I think I found her, because that's not a very common surname. Now the reason that I bought this one is the quote. Now to me, this was telling me to stitch all the things circa 1884 from a girl, giving me that information, stitch all the things, okay? Because the quote says, "Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with all thy might." It's just a basic way of saying stitch all the things, isn't it? Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with all thy might. Stitch all the things. So I've already charted this one actually, because I really want to stitch her. So I might release her, I don't know, I'm not sure yet. But yeah, as soon as I saw it, I was like, That's a girl after my own heart there, right there. In terms of where I found her, I originally thought she might be Scottish because of the red and the green, but it wasn't solely a red and a green Scottish thing. A lot of Scottish samplers have red and green, but it's not a solely red and green thing. So I think that she comes from Yorkshire, from Ecclesall. Yeah, that's how I think, Ecclesall. She was born to Richard and Mary Passley, and she had some brothers and sisters. Mary Jabal Passley, Richard Josiah Marshall Sabina Passley, now that is a name and a half, and she was Frances Eleanor Passley. So I haven't really found much more about her than that. Born in 1872, but I just like to know roughly where she's from. Yeah, just nice to know a little bit about her. So I might do some more digging, you never know, see what else I can find about her. But that's who I think she is, and she's telling me to stitch all the things. Now, the next one is my birthday present from me to me. And again, if you've seen me on Instagram, I couldn't help but do a little video of the unboxing of her, and I have to be a little bit careful because she's not quite so solid in her frame. So try not to get too much of a glare on her. This is Susan Steele, and this was stitched in 1871. No, it wasn't, it was stitched in 1817. Get me numbers round the right way. 1817. And I'll see if I can read the passage. It's very faint. It says, "Teach me to..." Do you know what? I've read this once before and I can't read it again now. Teach me to feel another's woe, to hide the fault I see, that never... that mercy to others show, that mercy show to me. There we go. It's so faint and the light in here is so bright, and it's the summer holidays and I've lost my ability to read. So there she is, definitely Susan Steele. I love the detail in her. Now I'm looking forward to taking her out in the frame to see what I can see on the back of her. I don't think she's going to be in the best condition looking at the back. I know she's got a few little holes. She's stitched on such impossibly fine material, and you might be able to see, if I get it in just the right way, this is the original glass. It's got dimples in it. It's got little dimples in it. Now, as soon as I saw this, I thought this was a Norfolk sampler. Just stylistically, a Norfolk. There we go, that's not too bad actually. But I know that it's not as easy as that. It's not as easy to just say, oh yeah, that's a Norfolk sampler, just because of this kind of stepped cartouche. So I asked Susan Stanley about it, and she said she thought it was, or it certainly had, Norfolk influences. And then I had a little chat with Bethany Clemens, who is Norfolk Samplers on Instagram. She's got a wealth of knowledge about Norfolk samplers, and I asked her what she thought, and she said yes, she thought it probably was, but she was actually going to be speaking to Joanne, now I'm going to probably butcher the surname, Lukacha, who wrote the book on Norfolk samplers, and I'll put a picture of the book up here. It's out of print. You can sometimes find them for a reasonable price ish, but quite often they go for really high prices, so I am keeping my eye out for that particular book, but it might be a long search. And she asked Joanne, she showed her the pictures and asked her whether she thought it was a Norfolk sampler, and she said yes, definitely. She says not only because of the general shape, but also the cartouche with the name enclosed. So let me just So it's to do with this shape, but also this shape as well. And she says, the main shape of the sampler, a sort of an elongated diamond with the larger square ears that comes from either side, is very similar, or is very much so. It is this bit here, which is the bit that I thought, but it's definitely kind of this bit too, and the way it's laid out. And if you have a look at Bethany's Instagram, I'll put it down below, you will see there's a lot of very similar samplers with that big kind of cartouche in the middle, and then the stitcher's name, the way that Susan's got hers. And I'd found her. I had already found her, but I'd found her as a girl from Norfolk. I just wanted to check that they thought she was a Norfolk sampler, and that I wasn't just pinning my findings just on somebody from Norfolk. But I'm pretty convinced that she is Susan Steele. Now, I think she was actually christened Susanna, but she on her sampler put Susan, and she put her baptism is the only place it's written as Susanna. Everywhere else it's written as Susan. And I think she was born in 1804, which makes her 13 when she stitched that one. She was born to Edward Steele and Sarah Mullinger, and she had several siblings. So there was Margaret, who was the eldest, then Susan, then Mary Ann, then Harriet, and then Sophia. And in the records, it's a little bit confusing, because in the records sometimes she's spelt Steele as in S-T-E-E-L, and sometimes it's S-T-E-E-L-E. Now, she's definitely Steele without the E on the sampler, but I think sometimes in the records, because if it's written with copperplate, the way that the L is written almost looks like the flourish on the end looks like an E. So sometimes I think it's been mistyped up. Other times it's definitely clearly got an E on it in the records. Now, when I saw her parents' marriage certificate, at least one of her parents had signed with the cross to show that they weren't able to write their own name. So in terms of that, it's not incomprehensible that sometimes in the records it ends up with an E on the end of it and sometimes it doesn't. But you can definitely see which records go together. It's like her sisters, Marianne or Mary Ann. Sometimes it's spelled Marion, sometimes it's spelled Mary Ann. And so, yeah. So I'm very, very happy to have her. She is from, and let me see if I can remember this, Garboldisham, I don't know if that's how you say it, in Norfolk. So that's where her corner of Norfolk was. And I don't think she ever married. I don't think she ever married. I can find her with her maiden name living with various members of her family until she gets quite old, sort of, well, into her 50s and 60s, which for the time period to be not married is quite old. As everyone's throwing things at me, it's not old. But at that time, to not be married, to still be using your maiden name, I can't find any records where she's been married. So there we go. But I'm going to get her out again. She's fab. This is going to be a long-term project. I will chart her, but don't expect the chart for next week. It's got to be a 46 count, I should think, at least. But I'm so delighted that she's come to live with me. And the frame's in pretty good nick as well. I really thought the frame might be a little sugary, but the frame is very good. So, got a couple of other bits of haul to show you, and then that will be me done. So it's a bit of a longer programme today. Somebody had commented that my programmes weren't very long. Right, fabric of the month, let's do that. From Fox and Rabbit. Again, they were very naughty and they sent me the coloured and the neutral. So the colour is called Saltbush. Now, reading it, I think it may be part of their normal range, because the little note says, this month's neutral linen is Saltbush. We have had several requests to include this colour in our fabric of the month. So I think it's maybe been one that they've had before, but it's kind of like this beautiful kind of grey brown. Now, I know that Karen and Bren don't just dye fabric just to please me. However, I couldn't help but think that as I was showing this chart last week, and then they go and send me Saltbush. I mean, how perfect is that? So I shall be keeping that linen with that one. And this is, I just showed you a quick glance of it. This is Starry Night Sampler by the City Stitcher, which was lovely, sent to me by a lovely lady, Tommy Jane Stitches on Instagram. She sent me this because I loved her chart that she'd done. I think I might try and do a DMC to sulky conversion for mine, because this is 36 count and I want it to be quite bold. And one strand of DMC, I'm not sure is going to cut it, and so I might try and move it into sulky. So that was the neutrals. This one is also amazing as well. This is the coloured linen, and this is called Storm. Now I think Karen and Bren have had enough of storms. They have been nearly washed away lots and lots of times over this winter of theirs. So that is Storm. Now what's not showing, just see if I can get it to show. Oh, it's not too bad actually. It's got a little bit more of a purple tinge to it in the flesh, as it were. So I can't wait to find something for that one. And then I did a little order from Peakside, and then within about 20 minutes I did another little order from Peakside because I saw something I liked on Instagram. So let me show you what my first order was. So my first order was, I'll take this one out of the bag because I'm sure it will reflect. This is Spot the Horse by Carriage House Samplings. And the reason that I wanted this one is because it's beautiful, but I also have a piece of this colour linen. I bought it for something that I thought it would work with. It didn't really, but I love it on this. So again, I may do a sulky conversion on that one to get the nice deep coverage. I picked this one up because I really like that. I showed you a couple of weeks ago that I'd bought some little shaker wooden boxes. Oh, they're up there. And I think one of those might look nice either on the lid of one or in the lid of one. So I got that one. And then I also ordered, I think that was technically part of my second batch, this, which is Fibre on a Whim 32 count old gold, which is lovely, but not the colour I thought it was going to be. I've charted most of this, and I thought that the old gold, based on the colour on the screen, might work with that, but I think it's going to be too yellowy now. But that's okay, because something I ordered in my second batch will go on there, I think. And I also ordered this. Now I'd seen this, but it was out of stock. And then somebody on Instagram had stitched this one, and it made me think, oh, I better go and have a look. So this is called Small Samplings by Heartstring Sambrie, and I'll show you the projects in the book. So there's a little marking sampler there. Another marking sampler there. Well, a little bit more than a marking sampler. This bird, which I love. And that one, which is the one that I saw most recently stitched, which I really like, which is clearly a morning type of sampler. And Dexter. That one. And then at the back it's got some little pin pillows. Let me just see whether we've got like that, which I think are lovely, with roses on them. So they're stitched in wools, but you can also stitch them just with DMC or whatever you want. And then the thing that I went back for, I saw Lollipop Stitches had finished this and I just loved it, really loved it. And it's this one. It's by Tumbleweeds, which is part of Little House Needleworks, and this one's called Legendary Girls. It says, I figure if a girl wants to be a legend, she should just go ahead and be one. Which I think is from, yeah, it's a Calamity Jane quote. And I think it might go well on there. We shall see. And I think that's everything. We've got a stitchy week planned this week. We're still on holiday. It's a nice chilled week still. I'm going to try and get a bit more finishing done. But next week I think I may be coming to you from the Cotswolds because we have got tickets for Gifford Circus next weekend. So, oh, one other thing. I brought this. Birthday start. So on Thursday I will be starting this. Glendon Place, Phantom Plantation. I just saw it there. I thought I'd remind myself and you, and this is how it's going to be, is it? There we go. Phantom Plantation on a piece of linen that I dyed. And I think Steve, Crafty Old Man UK from Crafty Stitches, is going to be joining me because I've bullied him into it. So anyway, I'm going to enjoy my week, I'm going to enjoy my birthday week, and I will see you next weekend. Stay classy, Stitchers.